Hey everybody, it's me, Rumi, the comic book poser, and I'm here today to welcome you to Enter the Poserverse. It's Tuesday, so you know what that means. We are talking about all of the books, all of the way too many books, that I'm picking up on this week's new comic book day, Wednesday the 26th of January? I don't know numbers that well. Yeah, 26th. And we're going to announce a new weekly giveaway. So to find out what I'm giving away and how you can enter, you'll check it out after this.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Like I said at the end of yesterday's weekly rankings video, it's time for me to start doing more giveaways, more giving back to the community outside of people who are just patrons and channel members. That it's time for me to start giving back. That I've gotten a lot of cool stuff. I've had a lot of people A-OK things to me, and I want to start paying it forward. But there's going to be a small price. Each week on Tuesday, I'm going to talk about the number one book that I'm the most excited to pick up, and a couple of other things. And all I expect you to do in the comments down below is let me know what you're most excited about this week. Either in terms of comics, something you got going on, talk to me. Let me know what you're excited about. I'm getting better at responding to comments a little bit timely. So all you gotta do is comment. Your window will close by 10 o'clock Central on Thursdays. That 30 minutes into Shop Talk, we will have our wheel up and ready to go, and we will announce the winner live on Thursday, and then your goal is to follow up with me on Instagram. I'll try and reach out to you, vice versa, so I can get your address if I don't have it already. So we're going to talk about the book that I am probably not the only one excited about coming out, and a bunch of dope variants that I'm going to try and pick up to make our first poser pile that I'm going to give away on Thursday. So let's talk books. All right. So this week, I think there's only one spider in my life after 3 of them last week. I loved all of them. But we are getting into Spider-Man number 87, where we are seeing more folks show up after the data leak and attack that Doc Ock was responsible for carrying out against the Beyond Corporation. And maybe we start to figure out, like, spoiler alert, he shows up in Beyond Corp and gets ready to go face to face with the head woman in charge. So I want to see what happens there. I also want a Peter Parker update that, 3 issues ago, creepy things happened to him at the end of the book, and I want to see what's going to happen. We haven't seen it yet, but as I've said a million times, this new run of Amazing Spider-Man Beyond is just hitting on a different level to me, that all of the creators who are touching this right now doing a great job telling a consistent story that I'm excited about. And one of the variants to ASM 87 will probably be in the poser pile, because I'm only pulling the A cover, but I will pick up 2 or 3 more based on whatever catches my eye when I get there on Wednesdays. Next, from DC, we get Batman Catwoman Special number 1. It's an interlude between what we're like in chapter 9 of 12 of the ongoing story. Been pretty good, so we get to see other romantic connections that Bruce and Selina have had. Seems like an interesting palette cleanse before we get ratcheted back up into how this series is going to end. From Marvel, we've got Black Panther number 3 and Captain America and Iron Man number 3. Both of these books are intriguing to me. I like the way that it is kind of weaving in new definitions of characters in both of them, and I'm intrigued. And I think I'm going to leave it there, because I think, like I said in Monday's video with Bolero, I think these are going to be 2 series that I might do some diving into with some conspiracy theories, or breaking down some of little extra bits of flavor that the creative teams have sprinkled in on both of these. Next up, from Dark Horse, is Critical Role Vox Machina Origins number 5. Pulling this book, have not read any of this third arc yet that I want to binge read them when they're all together, in the same way that I've, binge listened to all things Critical Role. I have, binge read the library edition of the first two arcs of the Vox Machina origin story, that I'm excited to just get it all done in one sitting and have my mind blown. Crossover number 11 from Image. This has still, constantly been a wild ride. I'm intrigued by what looks like a Star Wars reference on this front cover. We're starting to maybe get to the root of some of the murders of different comic book authors. I still really like the idea of what happens when your god dies, or in talking to the characters, right? What happens when the person who created you gets killed in the real world? Do you disappear? Intriguing to me. Death of Doctor Strange has been absolutely amazing. I've enjoyed all of the tie-ins. I don't know enough about Doctor Strange in the long game to be able to talk about this series very well, so I will sum it up in my inner caveman monologue. Art good, story good, 2 thumbs up. Next up from Marvel, you've seen me pull multiple covers. Each of this series of Devil's Reign that I've gotten the A cover. I've tried to get the Bagley connecting variant, which I've been successful in each of them, and the headshot sketch variant. That I think all of these are really, really cool, and I think the ones that I will definitely send to get graded and keep will be the headshot variants. That the connecting variant will be cool to look at when it's all together. But aside from that, I'm not going to spread them all out and keep them on a shelf. That they're going to go in a short box. But I like seeing everything that is happening. I like watching how people are interacting with the Thunderbolts, the, what was it, Criminals, Thieves, Villains for Hire that came out last week. Was pretty cool in terms of looking at the dynamic that the Thunderbolts have in terms of some non-superhero law enforcement items and how they're working together. So I'm intrigued to see how this continues to play out. And then I think our only tie-in this week that is coming out, unless I missed one from the pull, is Winter Soldier number 1. I've also enjoyed these tie-ins. I think they've done a good job kind of broadening the stage of what's happening in terms of people reacting to Kingpin's rule, but I don't know how essential they are. That I think you could be reading, for the most part, just the Devil's Reign books, and you get the gist of the story. Next from Vault Comics is End After End number 1. You have a man who lived a rather unremarkable life. So question becomes, what happens? How does his story continue after he dies? I'm intrigued by the premise. There has not been a recent Vault number 1 that I have disliked, so we'll see how this matches up with my preferences shortly. From DC, we get Flash 788. Ooh, that's like 3 DC books this week. I'm reading more DC books. Oh no, just 2, because I can't read. But I've been liking what's happening on this Flash run, the idea of looking at the different versions of the timeline that the Flash is being pushed into. The idea of Flash joining Justice League Dark is interesting to me. Even though I haven't read current Justice League Dark, I really enjoyed the new 52, and I'm intrigued to check that out. I also want to see what he does playing in the universe of Gem World, that of the most recent Amethyst run. I think I read the first 3 issues and then pulled another 1 or 2 to sit to the side to share with my daughter for when she can read in the near future, because I think it's a cool story. Speaking of cool story, Good Boy number 3 from Source Point Press is out. I think I read this already. I think 1, 2, and 3 were included in the Kickstarter package. But I've read so much stuff in the last 12 days, getting caught up on things that I'm missing out, or I've missed out on, or my piles that have added up, that things are mushing together. But again, I like the John Wick dog. He's a badass. Another Image book, Girl Scout Stone Ghost number 3. This is dope in terms of the art. The story has been interesting across the first 2 issues. I like the trippy kind of gritty 80s underground art style that you're seeing in a lot of these books, and it's cool. Again, this is one of those things that I don't know if Girl Scouts is a previous series like Aerosmith from last week, that if there's early source material that I may not be familiar with, but I enjoy, the experience when I go through this. The book makes me laugh. It gives me some gasp moments from time to time, but I just like how the art is different, that it gives me a good change of pace for the week. From Valiant is The Harbinger number 4. I did not read number 3, that it's in my to-read pile. I loved 1 and 2. I just got to get caught up on 3 and 4, so hopefully I'll have that done by the time I pick up my books on Wednesday. Another one of the books that I'm very excited about this week, and we'll see if I can get a variant to add to the poser pile, is House of Slaughter number 4. Again, I like watching how Aaron and Jace are trying to see if they can have a relationship with one another and break down the rigid bureaucratic structure that exists within not just the Order of St. George, but defying some of the rules in the House of Slaughter. This has just been as good as the Something is Killing the Children series that set the stage. Next up from Vault, Human Remains number 5. This series has been absolutely fantastic. Again, if you want a wild series about controlling fear and other emotions to keep being attacked from some alien, this is the series for you. It's weird because both KM and I love this book and love it a lot, but it's real good. This is one of those things that, I'm definitely on the buy the singles and then buy the trades bandwagon. Next up from Marvel is Marauders Annual number 1. This is part of the establishing a new stage post Trial of Magneto and Inferno for the X-Men stuff, that this showed up in the reading list to check out before the deaths of Wolverine. I'm in on getting Reset, even if I still have, 6 inches of X-Men to read. From Boom Studios, Once and Future number 24, we're getting another Arthur versus Arthur battle. In Otherworld, this series has been amazing. I think there was a new story you should have read in either your high school literature class or your world lit class that you had to take in college if you only had to take one. But this series has been amazing. The book that I hands down am the most excited about this week, and sorry Space Bastards, I love you. You're my second most excited book of the week. From Image Comics is Saga number 55. While other people have been salivating since, January of 2018 for a continuation of this series, my hell has not been as long, right? Because I started, reading Saga over time at the end of 2020 and made it a point to start collecting the original run of Saga throughout 2021 that I was successful in that venture, and then hooked a friend up and traded my first print number 1 for a 5th print, basically because it went to a person who's more in love with the series than me. But I'm excited to see what happens. I have been doing, as a lot of folks have been talking about on TikTok and Instagram, binging Saga to get up to the point to now figure out what would have happened if, the world would not have had to wait 4 years for this book. Next up from Aftershock, Seven Swords number 5. I thought I'd drop this series. Oops. It's not bad. It's just not been something that has ignited some of my interests, that this has been too fantasy for me in terms of some of the things that I like to read. The book that I'm the second most excited about, and I'm sorry that I had to say this was not my number 1, but it's Saga. Space Bastard Special Delivery number 1. It's a one-shot where we see Sharpton having to play with a new recruit before we get the new arc. You all saw 2 weeks ago, my unboxing of the hardcovers of Space Bastards that I'm going to keep buying those. I love this. You're going to see something very cool, Space Bastards themed, that is coming my way from Rad Hulk Dad in a couple weeks, but I'm excited for the book and for what Rad Hulk Dad putting together for me. We get from Image the wrap-up of Stray Dogs Dog Days #2. I will try and find a horror variant of this to put in the poser pile. I'd say I would try and find Space Bastards to put in the pile, and if I can get an extra copy, this one shot will go there. But I think there might only be 2 of us who are 2 or 3 people at my shop who are consistently pulling this one, that I don't think I've seen an extra reader copy of Space Bastards to pick up. I need to fix that and just add a second one because I want to get all of them slabbed eventually. But we'll get there sooner rather than later. I started talking about Stray Dogs, went into talking about Space Bastards. The miniseries wraps up. I really liked seeing all of the different perspectives shape out in Dog Days #1, so I want to see how this wraps. We also get to see some new dogs, another trip to the Master's house, and I'm hoping this sets up a second arc of Stray Dogs. We'll see. From AWA, we get I think this is the Next Last Telepaths book. This has been amazing. That Telepaths, hands down, has been my favorite of the books from the Resistance universe. I think Telepaths is now solidly in at my #2, that I like kind of looking at these folks who earn powers unexpectedly and very quickly in a different way from folks who survived the pandemic. Next, for Marvel, Thor continues to be amazing. The whole God of Hammers arc, I'm very excited to see. I know Thor 20 went to a second and maybe even a third printing because of the appearance that happens at the end of issue #20. We'll see. This is definitely going to be in the top third of the stack of books for me to read. Two Moons, I'm still an issue behind. I still love this, and it's going to be going down with some Buffalo Soldiers in Kansas. What? Next is from Behemoth Comics is Until My Knuckles Bleed #1. Like I said, I'm trying to read more Behemoth this year. I think this is my first official Behemoth pickup of the year because the book that was on my list last week I think got delayed a week. Next up is We Ride Titans #2. I don't know if this one is actually going to show up or not because We Ride Titans #1 got delayed a week, so we'll see if it shows up, but I like learning about the new character who is going to have to basically control a robot because her brother's a drunk piece of shit. So this is maybe a more interesting version of Pacific Rim. Next, we get The Deaths of Wolverine #1. If you watched yesterday's video, the Lives of Wolverine made the top 5. I think Percy and the team is just writing amazing Wolverine right now in terms of the ongoing series, and then I was blown away from the first one, so you should definitely check out both of these books if you're any kind of Wolverine fan. And then last but not least is X-Men #7. We get the secret origin of Captain Krakoa. I don't know what that means because I'm behind, but I'm going to get caught up on it by the end of the month. That's my goal. By January 31st in the year of our Lord 2022, to be all caught up in all things X-Men. So what do you think? Is there anything that I'm missing out on that I need to add to my already way too damn big pull list? If so, let me know in the comments down below. But remember, if you just jumped in on the preview and are catching the end and missed the announcement at the beginning, make sure you comment on this video what you are the most excited for this week. It can be a comic book, it can be anything that you got going on, etc., etc. And we will announce a winner of the inaugural Poser Pile this Thursday at 10 p.m. Central on Shop Talk. So as always, y'all, thanks for stopping by, and have a good one.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.